The last time I sat down with you, I know you don't remember because you do so many interviews, release day for Shadowmaker in Chicago while you guys were out with 6 a.m. And
All right.
that was such a great show. Um, but things are a little different now. You got Metallica Volume 2 coming out, just announced. Obviously, I've heard the one song and watched the music video today for the Four Horsemen. It's been a while since you guys have done one of your Plays Metallica records. I know you guys have talked about doing another Metallica record for so long. What took so long to do it? Did you just want to maybe separate yourself from the Metallica stuff and make your own path and then come back to it later on?
I think, yeah, pretty much like that, because of course we started as a pure cover band because we didn't know anything else back then.
Right.
And but after realizing that, okay, actually cello is a very versatile instrument and we can create cool rock music with it, we started to do own songs too. And maybe during the beginning of millennia, actually, we even thought that we want to somehow prove our existence as an own group and not only having the stamp of a cover band. But maybe during later years we started to also realize that we don't need to be ashamed of the past or where did we begin, because that's the reason why we are doing this. And so actually Metallica always, in a way, they remained a very, very important part of even our live shows. We played a couple of the covers every single evening, I think. And so it was only a matter of always following those things that felt the right way to do or right way to approach. And through our own music, I think that what was the biggest and most challenging thing was to learn to actually use the instrument and really seek for the limits. But now when I think of the time after pandemic, which we had nothing but time to think about the future and everything, I think there we kind of came to this realization that we could maybe, this would be the time to actually go back to the roots, but with all the knowledge that we gathered through these couple of decades. So this result is the volume 2, like you said, that we basically have had in our minds for maybe 20 years already, that one day there is still so many great Metallica songs, so many favorites that we never tackled to yet. And I especially always knew that one day I want to make like Blackened. It was the first Metallica song I ever heard, fell in love immediately to the album, Justice for All. And so in a way, it is just a conclusion of how we have evolved and all of that.
Yeah, I read you guys wanted to do it this differently. Didn't want to make the same Metallica record. You wanted to do it differently. And from what I've heard, it's heavier. Obviously, Miko playing drums on this one now. The first one was very symphonic. This one still is, but it's heavier. It sounds like a Metallica record without the vocals. What all did you guys want to do differently with this one?
We knew that we don't want to go back because, of course, like you said, that the very first album, we came from being friends who gathered in the rehearsal rooms, played it for our own fun. Maybe we had a few beers on the side, and had a
Right.
lot of fun. And then we performed in some student parties and eventually got offered the record deal. So we came from very, very rookie aspect of like classical musicians who basically go into the studio and somebody puts a microphone in front of you and
Right.
start playing. So ever since that, we started to take steps with experimenting more with guitar effects or bass effects, all of that world, and amps. And eventually we felt that we need or wanted to have more groove in our music, adding more percussive elements, which led eventually to having the drummer. And all these own albums, I would say that we learned a lot throughout the way, and that has been one of the guiding lights, the sparkle inside, that we always wanted to challenge ourselves to do something even better than where we achieved with the previous album. And at least for us, that has been the guideline, like going to the studio, spending enormous time only to play through, once again, new effects, new amps, to seek for a perfect and better cello sound. What is possible to do with these instruments? And now on this point of the career, we felt that maybe we kind of have achieved to find a cool sound, and also a vision how to treat music in a way, also through like composing your own tracks. But I would say that arranging something is equally challenging as composing, or at times even more challenging, because you have a great classic song and then you decide that I want to make a version out of this. It's actually such a burden, gives you trembles, that how can I do something that actually brings gives honor to the original, but still would have and include some elements of your own, because if you don't include those elements, it's just you know, play through of something, and there's no point of making a version. So we really wanted to treat the Metallica songs the way that they would sound strongly as Apocalyptica, but of course recognizable that they are the great tracks we always loved.
Yeah, I mean, and Metallica is one of those bands that like their fan base is so rabid and so diehard that when a band just does a Metallica cover just as a band, it's so under the microscope by their fan base that, man, I can't imagine the pressure you feel doing that with cellos and it is as a symphonic band as well. That's you've got to feel some pressure. Did you feel pressure now, even though you've already done it once and you've done it with the first record and then Inquisition Symphony? But now you've got your reputation built, you've got your fan base now. Did you still feel pressure? Or was it more comfortable this time?
I think that actually I didn't feel pressure. Of course, there is always the pressure that you need to do your best work, and we need to give the world an album that has a point to be released, and that we would not be slaughtered in the sanctuary of ancient metal lords, something like altars. So in a way pressurized, but I would say that it only gives you more motivations to really try your best and overdo what you are able to do. And this was a wonderful, fantastic process, which I started basically already 1 year ago by just repeatedly listening to the whole back catalog of Metallica. Of course, there were a couple of songs like Ride the Lightning Black and even one, they were somehow very clear for me that I want to make versions out of those songs because they were the most important Metallica songs. And but listening through absolutely everything they ever released, including Lulu, and trying to think, it's a fantastic feeling to trying to listen to certain elements that where you could take and what kind of puzzle pieces you could combine to make a cool version without the lyrics, without the James's impressive voice. And I think we got pressurized by ourselves because we all the time wanted to challenge us to make even better. And there were a couple of songs, I think, that we rearranged maybe 3-4 times, even re-recorded something. We had a version of, let's not name the songs, but like there was a song that we already recorded, and listening to that, it felt that it's still lacking something. So I started from the scratch, maybe, you know, adjusted the tempos and replayed all the riffs and stuff, just to, you know, to be sure that this is the best what we can achieve at this moment.
But I'm sure it helps that for, gosh, 20, 30 plus years, fans have wanted another one of these albums, and it continually comes up. You know that there's that we want it, you know. And I remember just a few weeks ago, I was thinking, like, man, it's been a while since we got an Apocalyptica album. I want, what are they up to? And then I got the press release from your awesome publicist, Jamie. I was like, yes, yes, it's they're back and they're doing it again. So I'm sure it takes a lot of that pressure off, knowing that fans really do want this and they want to hear this and they already love what they know they're going to get.
Yeah, definitely. And the feedback has always been really fabulous. I would say that also for our own music, and I never in my head, I always thought that whatever we play, no matter if they are even classical covers or Metallica or own songs, the source, of course, it matters, but in a live show, when we combine all of those, it's still the weirdo thingy what Apocalyptica represents. But the importance of Metallica as a starting point, as the biggest teenage fan love relation, that never kind of left, I think. And I really, really enjoyed it, as almost after 30 years, you can still
Yeah.
feel the same excitement, the same passion
Mhm.
for this music. And it really, really have helped. And I'm basically waiting for this tour. It's at the moment it feels like, oh gosh, it's so long to
I know.
the moment when we get to play to the stage with all these great songs.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the process like getting Robert on the Four Horsemen? Was it easy? What did it come out of nowhere, or had the band communicated to you guys like, God, we love what you guys have done, and if you ever do this again, we would like to be on it? Or did you come to them? Did they come to you? What was that process like?
Basically, Metallica has been always very, very supportive
Yeah.
towards all we do, but we always treat them with the highest respect. Naturally, so we asked that would they be fine if we make another of these albums purely
Okay.
on their music? So
Nice.
that's just, of course, what you do. That
Right.
would they accept it? Like that would be our wish. And Lars was really supportive, like, yeah, surely do. You guys, he said something even like that, you guys have brought us honor with your work. So
Oh.
it's amazing. And through this acceptance, kind of, it even happened that Rob just suddenly happened to be in the studio. So I don't know, was it difficult in the paperwork or who did what like that, but basically he volunteered to even,
Nice.
give this kind of a gesture.
That is awesome. Like, man, when you get the nod of approval from Metallica, like, you've made it. Like, oh my God, that is awesome. The video is amazing. I love the different settings, the different environments, the different effects, the different attires. Starting out in the room, plugging into the amps and just jamming with the Metallica posters. I feel like you guys really take us on a journey of what your journey has been like as a band to now. What was that video like, and was that the original idea for it?
Actually, the video was exactly what we felt that we want to show with this new project, that where everything began, like just a bunch of guys having fun and maybe having that dream that it would be lovely to play to a living
Yeah.
audience one day, and just purely out of the love for the music. And I also love the tuxedo thing because it's also not
Yes.
to our classical careers, classical side of the journey, but yeah, eventually reaching the rock stages and going crazy with it. This has been, I think that none of us ever really had too much expectations. We always just followed our heart and did what we wanted and how we felt that we would like to treat various music. And we are still here, and I think that is the greatest thing actually we have achieved. If I would need to mention something, that is that we still have that possibility, still have the possibility of going on tours around, and people are coming to the shows and listening to the music we do. So
Oh God, absolutely. It's such a cool video, and I love that you bring the tuxedos in, and you still show that classy side of Apocalyptica and heavy metal, and that's one thing you guys have always meshed. But to have that visual is just really, really cool. I wanted to ask you, what was the experience like doing the videos in St. John's Church? Because those are really, really, really cool and really well done.
actually, that St. John's Church concept was the result of pandemics, when nobody was
Okay, I
allowed
wondered.
to, nobody could travel anywhere. And
Right.
at some point, it seemed that you can have those concerts in Finland where people sit
Mhm.
like 3 meters from each other and isolate. But
Ugh.
we created that concept for Finland, and of course wanted to also film the concert that others around would be also able to see it. It was also very, very interesting and fantastic concept because we never did something like that. Basically, the
Mhm.
set was fully on ballads. Basically, we played all the Apocalyptica ballads
Yeah.
ever composed on that show. And yeah, I really also love that. And for me, I never got to decide, or luckily I don't need to decide that do I like classical playing more than rock, because both of the worlds, they are equally important. But what I truly love is to bring those elements into the people who are not maybe too experienced about it. My
Mhm.
favorite thing to say is probably that playing something purely acoustic in front of a raging metal festival who are not expecting that, it's
Right.
one of the most thrilling moments. And then you see the headbangers actually might be in tears, big guys. That is such a cool thing. And equally beautiful it's to go to a classical concert hall or an opera, having maybe sophisticated audience in there in fine dresses, and suddenly start to bang your head into the floor and bleed and do all these things that I just enjoy, a little bit shaking people and taking them out from their comfort zones maybe. But so far it worked. Nobody
Yeah.
got really pissed, I hope.
Right. And if they did, too bad. Like, sorry.
Sorry,
It,
that's us.
it happens.
Yeah.
You guys are hitting the road, hitting Europe. Huge, dude, huge. You're going to be over touring through the end of the year. It looks like over in Europe. You talked about a little bit ago. You're just itching to get on that stage again. Guys, going to be coming over to the States at all this year, maybe next year, and then going back overseas in Europe. I mean, you guys. I know you're excited, but the fans have just got to be just ready to go.
I truly hope so. I have this feeling. I always trusted that if we or I have this certain kind of really genuine, thrilling excitement about something, I always meet the like-minded people who then are our listeners who come to the concerts. And I always think that if you are true to yourself, then those people will get the same experience. And that makes the connection between the musicians and the audience and kind of like united in our minds to worship the
Yeah.
powerful music. And that makes the experience so genuine and common, united. So of course we are gonna tour a lot in States next year in the beginning of, so
Nice.
I mean, can't wait.
I want to before we wrap it up, I really want to take it back to the very beginning when you guys were, like you said, just a cover band and just jamming as friends and playing whatever. What was it about? I imagine like Metallica was just one of tons of bands that you were just jamming, doing covers of on the cellos at the time. What was it about the Metallica material that was the perfect stuff to put on recording and put on audio and release to the public back then, compared to maybe some of the artists that you covered on the second record?
Well, actually, they were just the number one band of that time. Like,
That's true. Yeah.
yeah, and for us as well. Like, of course, I listened to all music from Skid Row, Iron Maiden. Those guys brought me to the rock music. Or Judas Priest is still one of my biggest love
Mhm.
bands. And but Metallica, when that hit to us around maybe 14, 15 years old, it was all about that and thrash metal. Of course, we listened to Slayer and Sepultura and
Yeah.
everything like that, but the Metallica fandom and that feeling of that it's so cool to play Creeping Death. There's nothing as cool in the world, and that was the reason. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Just hearing it, I remember the first time I heard you guys, hearing that stuff on cellos and just the strings was just, I can't put into words what that felt like hearing that for the first time because it's so different, but works so well. And I just remember when I finally got to see you guys live in 2015. I think it was 2015 when you guys released Shadowmaker. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know who I was more excited about seeing, you guys or 6 a.m. on that tour, because like I had been waiting for years to see you guys live, and you guys absolutely slayed. You killed it. It was so worth the wait. And I just absolutely love the single. I can't wait to hear the rest of the record because oh my God, like oh my, if you're not paying attention, you would think this is like Metallica, you know? It really does. You guys nailed it on this so far. So
thank you. I'm
man,
sure you're gonna love the album.
looking back at the final product for you, what does this project, this volume two, mean to you as one of the ones that really put this together?
I think the fact that we are back in the very, very origins, in the mood of the teenager who was only dreaming about playing rock concerts. But now, after all these years, we were able to treat the music with maybe more wisdom or more knowledge about everything and sounds. And through our own music, the original Apocalyptica songs, we always learned to use the instruments, challenge ourselves to the further limits. And I would say that this time we use the everything we learned so far to treat the music where everything began, and this is the result of this time. And I still already started to think that there are a couple of ridiculously good Metallica songs still yet that
Oh
we were
yeah.
not able to fit into this album. So who knows, But we don't need to give up playing Metallica. I think it's one of the most important
Hmm.
parts of Apocalyptica's career. One
Yeah.
other part could be all our symphonic instrumental own material. And then
Hmm.
we also made a lot of vocal cooperation. So
Yeah.
there are so many sides of this band that we are actually able to do almost whatever. And that liberty is such
Yeah.
hilarious feeling. Like
Yeah.
always wanted to surprise yourself with the material you are tackling into.
Yeah, you guys could easily do just a night of or a night with and just do split the night into three different eras of Apocalyptica, the Metallica, the symphonic, the vocal. I mean, some of my favorite songs are the ones you did with like Brent from Shinedown, Corey Taylor. Good God. Adam still plays I Don't Care live with Saint Asonia. Like,
Yeah.
the singles that you guys have given all of us have just been honestly life-saving for a lot of fans. And I know with meet and greets, you get to encounter fans a lot, but you guys can't hear it enough. Thank you for what you do and for the music you guys put out. And thank you for going back to your roots and continuing to embrace where you guys came from, man. Thank you so much for this music. And thanks for doing this interview with me today.
Thank you for the beautiful words.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you.
We're seeing you on the road at some point next
Oh,
year or
yes.
this year. It's happening. If I had a passport, I'd go over to Europe this year, but I don't. So I have to wait and just be eager, man.
All
Um,
right.
thank you so much. And Jamie, thanks for setting this up for me. Perttu, thank you for doing this again, and I'll see you soon.
Absolutely.